Hi, welcome to my podcast, Talking Travel with Wendy. I travel the globe interviewing really cool people in small hospitality and tourism businesses. Join me each week as I discover and share something or someone new with you. You can find more at www.travelwithwendy.net. And remember, it's always an adventure when you travel with Wendy. Hi, fellow travelers. Here's some travel tips for you in 2022. I'm taking a break from my road trip adventure in 2021 to give you the latest 411 on my recent EU trip. Travel requirements for Europe are changing constantly, so I'm hoping that today's podcast is going to help you with some core travel tips to help you begin planning again. So I'm going to dive right in. On my recent trip, I discovered many things about booking a flight, and this is what I recommend. You might be a little hesitant to book a flight to Europe right now because of the state of the world in this pandemic. However, I think we're moving forward to a place where we're learning to live with this pandemic and still travel and see the world. If you're extremely hesitant to book and to lose money, I definitely advise getting insurance. Travel insurance is available for cancel for any reason still, and many companies do cover COVID. If you have questions, let me know. I now sell travel insurance as a travel advisor. You can send me an email and I'll put the links below. So traveling in Europe can make even the most experienced traveler a bit hesitant right now. And in the past 6 months, I've gone and done 2 overseas trips. And I've experienced flight delays, many COVID tests, the changing regulations and policies. I learned to be a lot more flexible, and my travel tip is still, if you're planning to book a flight, to get the best price fare, to book it when you think about it, because travel to Europe is actually on the increase, and so it is the law of supply and demand. So if you wait, it's going to go up in price. So the PCR testing, antigen testing was required by my airline. I flew Delta, and to fly to Europe, this is required as well. And no one checked except for the airlines. Germany didn't check. But I took the antigen test here at an urgent care clinic about 48 hours before my flight. That did change on my return. I had to have it under 24 hours. So that made it a little bit more challenging. The test in America was free for the antigen test, but I did need a PCR test to return. However, that's changing too. Once they give you your negative result letter, I took it to the airport, the front desk accepts it, then you're pretty good to go. Although I would recommend that you carry that letter with you at least through your travels and transportation. I also carried my vaccination card, and also I had my booster shot in early November, making my travel in December super easy. A travel tip that I have is while you are in the flying process or in the transportation from going from planes, trains, and automobiles, to carry some hand sanitizer with you, and remember to keep it at the 3.4 ounces so you don't get flagged by security. And you can carry this in your purse or backpack. And then you can also carry some handy wipes. No one gave me a hard time for this, and you can wipe off your seats and trays. And our flight and the flight attendants actually gave us some Purell handy sandy wipes too. So that was really good to feel secure about. So what is 2G plus or 3G? Well, according to the German Ministry of Health, 2G plus means vaccinated or recovered, plus a current test, a COVID test, and 2G plus plus means vaccinated or recovered, plus a current test at an official testing site, and you must wear an FFP2 mask in public places. And while we were traveling around Europe in December, masks are required in all public places like the airport, the train and train stations, malls and restaurants, except of course when you're eating. To make my visits easier, I did purchase a very inexpensive EU phone at MediaMarkt. It was under €100. And some of these apps that I uploaded to my German phone were super easy. So these are the two apps that I recommend to make your life stress-free. But the caveat is you must have an EU SIM card, or these won't work with a SIM card from the United States. So if you go to Europe and you have an unlocked phone, you can just change it out with an EU SIM card while you're visiting. Or like you can do what I said and just purchase a ticket as well. So once you have uploaded the apps, these are the apps. It's a Luca app and a CoronaWarn app. I'll also put the links in the description today. You have to visit a pharmacy or an apotheca in Germany, and they will enter your vaccination record. So you'll need your card with you and your passport. And once all this information is entered, you'll receive a QWERTY code and a piece of paper with your information that's been inputted, and this is now in the European system. The Luca app was accepted everywhere, and the CoronaWarn app is accepted. It was accepted in Germany, Italy, and Austria. Okay, so the next thing that I definitely recommend is masks. And masks are required in all public places. Like I said, in the airports, the long ride, plane ride to Europe, it was required, trains and stores, but not hiking or doing outdoor activities. And our spa trip, it was required upon entering, but once you enter the pools and the schwimmbads, then you can take your masks off. We did get used to carrying the masks in our coat pocket or in our purse and just whipping them out when we were around people. I preferred to carry the K95 masks or the blue hospital masks that are just a little bit lighter because I felt a lot safer with that extra added protection. Now, my recent trip wasn't all doom and gloom. I had a lot of fun, and we learned to live with the COVID restrictions. It was just this is the way it is now to travel post-COVID. The procedures and policies, we abided by them and we accepted them because this is just the current state of our travel world during a pandemic journey. It changes every day, and it might change even after I record this podcast. So just be sure to check out www.travel.state.gov. I'll put the link below. That has current up-to-date information that they update every single day because, as we know, it sometimes does change every single day. So one of the adventures we had was traveling across the borders. And since so many of the rules and regulations change day to day, we weren't quite sure what to expect. But we knew that we were going to Italy. And as we were heading to Italy, we had to reroute our journey because Austria had shut down to transit travelers. So we just rerouted. It was not a big deal. We went and decided to go through Switzerland. We stayed in Lake Maggiore and we went all the way through Switzerland. No speeding ticket. Thank you, Kelly. Awesome. You don't want to get a speeding ticket in Switzerland because super expensive. I mean, like hundreds of euros expensive. And if the rental car company has to process the speeding ticket, it's even more money. So just obey the speed limits in Switzerland. Once we got to Italy, we were waved right through. They asked for nothing, our passports or vaccination cards. We had them ready to go, but they just kind of waved us through. We did need both vaccination card and passports when we stayed in Italy at the hotels and the Airbnbs. They were required at check-in, or they both gave us information where we could upload the information to our reservation easily prior to our visit. So my recommendation, my travel tip is to communicate with your hotel or stay prior to your arrival to know what their COVID restrictions are. So the great thing about traveling just recently is that not everything was closed. Europe's travel industry is learning how to adapt and live with these changes COVID has brought, and they have adapted to help these business owners stay open. So many activities like shops and wine tasting and tours are still open. They're just adjusted. So here's a few travel tips if you plan on attending those in the future. Number one, make a reservation. Whether you're booking a dinner reservation, a spa trip, or a tour, you're going to need a reservation. So check out the activities website to secure that you have a reservation and you're good to go. Gone are the days where you just show up and hope to get a space for a tour or a dinner spot. Stores and shopping do have customer quantity limitations inside the stores, so just be patient. Some stores will have an attendant right at the front door, and they'll ask you to wait just a little bit while the store clears out of customers because they're not allowed to have over a certain number inside a small area. So as I was saying, the hiking and outdoor recreation is wide open in Europe. Masks are not required for these activities. However, I do recommend you still carrying them in your backpack or in your coat, because if you hop into a forest hut or a restaurant, you're going to need your mask. So some tourist locations like walking outdoor malls, piazzas in Italy, Stadtmittes in Germany, you're going to be required to wear masks, even outdoors, because the crowds are still full. We were kind of surprised that Christmas markets were canceled, and yet the streets were still filled with tons of people. They were just wearing masks going in and out of malls and restaurants and stores. So just keep your masks available. Have your passport and your vaccination card at the ready. So the last thing I wanted to talk about is just please be patient. From the person checking you in at the airline to the waitress at the restaurant to everyone in between. Despite what you might see or hear, I've experienced grace, and I've given grace during this incredibly difficult world that we're living in at the moment. I hope you're able to start planning for your next European adventure for 2022. Let me know if I can help. I have lots of resources available right here on my website, on my YouTube channel. Thanks for listening to my podcast today. It's always an adventure when you travel with Wendy.